You guys hear that? Tornado warning. So I'm headed to the basement and we'll see how the tent holds up. That is one tough tent.
Hi friends, hey, welcome back to the Expeditionary Johnny channel. Hey, if you're new to my channel, you'll see right here that the theme to my channel is to try to remove obstacles to getting outdoors. That could be things like time, ideas, or maybe equipment. And today we're talking about equipment. Specifically, that would be the Reactive Outdoor 3-second tent. About a month ago, Reactive Outdoors reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in doing a review of their 3-second tent. I said, absolutely. I always love checking out a brand new tent. So I did my initial thoughts and I posted that video about a month ago. And at the time, I was extremely happy with it. So I tell you what, let's look over the claims that Reactive Outdoor makes towards this tent, and I'll tell you my thoughts on that. So here's the box that came in. And you're going to see the very first thing is they say this is easy setup. Well, if you watch my intro, you see this is extremely very easy setup. Basically, you lay down a tarp on the ground, which comes with the kit. You lay out your tent, and then at the very top where all the poles come together, you just grab the mechanism, pull up, and you push down on your thumbs on the lower brackets there. Pops out. Easy peasy. After that, you just stake it down and set up your guy lines, and that's about it. The next claim is leak-proof guaranteed, and also mentions that it's got a bathtub floor, which is also designed to help keep out the water, which I pointed out in my first video. I'm going to give this tent a thumbs up on that one. Matter of fact, 2 thumbs up. Folks, I kept this tent out for about 3 weeks out in the weather here in Nebraska, and I had 2 tornado warnings, some extremely high winds, and also some very heavy rains. Matter of fact, let's look at that footage right now. You hear that? It's coming down now. All right, yeah, we're gonna get a good test tonight. Well, it is the next morning, and as you can see, we got a fair amount of rain here last night, so definitely a good test of our tent. You guys hear that? Tornado warning. So I'm headed to the basement and we'll see how the tent holds up. Alright, so I'm in an active tornado warning here, so I'm going to head down to the basement and we'll see if the tent's still standing, if my house is still standing when I get back. Well, the high winds have ceased, and we're not quite out of the tornado warning, but it's east of me, so I'm okay. But if you can't pick up on it, lots and lots of rain, so we're definitely going to get a good test. Wow, that was really a lot of rain. It's like the water is even higher today than it was the last time I came down here after a storm. So that was a true test. Alright, let's go ahead and unzip this bad boy. Looks perfectly dry to me, so I think we're going to be fine. All right, one more round of storms today, and so that way we check for stamina. All right, see you in a second. Hi guys, so you can see a couple days have gone by since those heavy rains, and the creek here in my backyard has gone back to normal. I'm just recording this so you can see this is the normal state as opposed to what it looks like after heavy rains, just to give you an idea of just how much rain we really experienced here. Now you might be asking yourself, how did Reactive Outdoor do this? Well, what they're using is waterproofing is up to 300 millimeters with the rainfly, and the material is high quality 210D Oxford fabric. Now, if you're not familiar with that scale, 210D is about a mid-grade as far as toughness, but I'm going to rate this tent very well because, again, after 3 weeks of some extremely high winds, this bad boy stayed up the whole time. I didn't have to go mess around with it, so a very well designed tent and very good materials at the same time. So you might notice the next thing on the box is it says it's 2 doors. Yes, there are 2 D doors. They both have some mesh netting on there. So matter of fact, let's turn the tent around and I'll show you that. All right, let's talk about these doors. All right, first thing, plenty of mesh netting here to not only keep out the bugs, to give ample ventilation. That's a very good thing. This tent is double walled, meaning that we've got this rain tarp on the outside, which is separated from the actual tent. This is good. As the rain comes in, it's going to drip away. You don't actually want the 2 pieces of fabric making contact with one another. That's a very, very good thing. And with inside there's more mesh netting underneath the rainfly, so this tent breathes very well. Now let's take a look at this door. This is got a D design, okay, meaning that if we're going to be straight on one side and it's going to wrap around on the other side. Now what I like here is pay close attention to these zippers here, is there's a flap right here at the top, and it's like it protects, it goes over the zipper to prevent leakage. This is along the top and along the sides here. So let's go ahead and start opening this up. Now let's turn our attention down here at the bottom, because this flap is not only on the sides, it's also down at the very bottom. See, this is very well thought out. You can see there's an extra flap where we get to the other YKK zipper, and we just go ahead and zip it open here. So now that we've got both doors open, you can just see how wide open this is. This is supposed to be a 2-man tent, so you can easily fit 2 people in here with lots of gear in the middle. And if it's a hot day like this time of year and you need to keep the bugs out, well, go ahead, zip it up, drop the vents, and you're going to be a-okay, all right? Now, do you guys notice something else in there? Here, let's go in a little closer and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oh, that would be my lantern. So if you need to hang a lantern or your headlamp at night, you'll notice we've got a nice little mandatory hook, that's for sure. All right, now as we go along the bottom of the tent here, see how high that gray material goes? All right, that is that bathtub design that they talked about on the box. So having a bathtub floor is really, really important in staying dry with your tent, okay? Because you don't want any seams down low where water can come in there. So if you have this water-resistant material coming up the sides, like the side of your bathroom, you stand a much better chance of staying dry. Now, especially if you put that tarp down on the ground, that's going to prevent getting holes in the bottom of your tent, and also that's extra layer materials. And Reactive Outdoors includes this with the tent. All right, so what's the next claim we want to look at? All right, holds up to strong winds with stakes and guy lines. I think I've already addressed that by the whole tornado warning and high winds here, so double thumbs up. Durable and long-lasting fiberglass structure. Durable 100%, and long-lasting, I'd say 3 weeks out in the elements and it looks brand new. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to give it 100%. All right, mesh windows prevent insects from coming in. Yeah, they do that, and there's plenty of mesh netting. Comfortable and spacious, 100%. Let me get inside and let you guys see exactly how big this thing is. Plenty of room. So who is this tent designed for? Well, that would be car campers and somebody that wants to be able to set up their tent quickly so they can get about their business of enjoying the weekend, okay? But within that, I'd say anybody on the outdoor spectrum. All right, just because it's easy setup doesn't mean it's only for beginners. Me personally, I've enjoyed doing some survival classes and sleeping in a bunch of leaves and doing friction fire just for fun. However, that's not what I want to do every time. If I want to get out to the lake and maybe do a bit of camping and fishing and stuff, I'm going to want a nice tent like this that's going to keep me dry so I can spend my time with my family. So you can be a beginner or you can be experienced. So really there's no limitation on who's going to choose this. So let's talk about cost. Well, I have to say it really depends on you. All right. This tent is going to be more expensive than something you buy at Walmart, like the Ozark Trail, okay? But you also get what you pay for. So this tent is running about $120 right now if you go out to Reactive Outdoor's website, depending on if you catch a sale or not. And I'm going to say that is a good deal for what you're purchasing. All right. All right. So the poles for this tent are solid enough to stand up to some very high winds out here. Now I have provided some feedback to Reactive Outdoors about those poles because on the hinges I did notice some wiggling, but considering it still stood up to these high winds out here, I can't detract from its performance on there. So my recommendation is just sturdy it up just a little bit, but that's about it. So if you like getting outdoors on a routine basis and you really don't want to spend too much time setting up your tent, this is definitely a very good tent for you to consider. Well, I think that's really about all I have to say about Reactive Outdoors 3-second tent. I believe the footage speaks for itself. In the end, this is a very tough, reliable, and dry tent. And I can't really ask for anything else when I go out camping. So, great job. So with that being said, guys, this is going to bring us to the end of another video. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't done so already, please hit that like and subscribe button. And you guys take care and have a great week.